Welcome back, friends. For this adventure, I'm traveling solo to Mount Pinos, located near the Frazier Park area, just outside of Bakersfield, California. I only have a few days off from work, so I can't venture very far. Plus, there's a severe storm brewing that will hit California pretty hard in several days. I've been having problems with my traction control light coming on ever since upgrading the larger tires at the end of last year. As you will see, the traction control light will only be one of several problems I experience on this trip and the makeup trip afterwards. I went from 30-inch tires to 32-inch tires, and since then, the traction light comes on when I'm going up a hill while in a turn, and I'm not losing traction. If anyone has experienced this and has a cure for it, please leave a comment. I don't have the time to hike the 4 miles round trip to the top of Mount Pinos, so I'm going to do a much shorter hike to an overlook that's less than a mile one way.
I made a big mistake. I didn't bring snowshoes. It's only a 0.8 mile hike to the overlook. If I walk gingerly enough, I'm fine. But if I go at my normal pace to make up time, I break through, and then it's just a struggle. I'm afraid that when I start hiking back uphill and I start putting more pressure down on the inclines, I'm going to break through, and that's going to be a struggle. I'm going to need to come back here again sometime in the near future with snowshoes.
Not getting to the overlook was my second problem of the day, but unbeknownst to me, there would be many more problems to come. My check engine light and traction control light both came on at the same time while I was driving home. I was passing through Maricopa near the city of Taft and was able to pull off into an oil field while in limp mode. The Jeep started just fine and seemed to be running normally, so I drove to an automotive shop in Taft to have the engine code read. Interestingly enough, I learned that this automotive repair shop used to be a manufacturing plant that assembled the Model T Ford. The tracks used to suspend the body of the cars over the assembly line are still on the ceiling today. The engine code was P0369 on bank 1, sensor 2. My check engine light is because of a cam position sensor. The Jeep's running fine, so he said it's okay for me to drive it home. Wish me luck. I made it the 112 miles home without any problems and took the Jeep to a very reputable repair shop near my home the following day. This repair shop used to be an industrial laundry company, which was founded in 1930 by Ben Page. When Max Fleischman, of Yeast fame, brought his yacht into the Santa Barbara harbor, the local laundry trucks lined up on the dock and waited for the ship to arrive. When young Mr. Page saw the yacht come into view, he jumped into his rowboat and reached the ship before it entered the harbor. The yacht captain was impressed by the young man's drive and made a deal with the young man to clean all of the ship's laundry, thereby shutting out all of his competitors on the dock. Okay, that's enough history for now. Let's find out what's wrong with the Jeep. It's not all gummed up or anything either?
No, it's clean.
So
inside the engine's clean.
Because I keep my oil changed like every 3,000.
Yes, that's when you should be doing it. Look right through there.
All right.
You see where that socket's at?
Yeah.
See the plug?
Oh wow, yeah.
Not even tight. They're all like that.
How many of mine were loose?
These two, we'll find out these two on this side was the valve covers off.
And how many are there? Just
4.
2 on each side? And so what does the oil galley do? Does it hold the oil?
The oil galley is the supply line for all the top end camshafts, rocker arms, lifters.
Okay.
And if you get the plugs that come loose, it acts like an internal bleed.
Okay.
So you don't get the volume of oil going to the camshafts and all the valve train. So we'll be pulling every single pulley off, locking the chains in, marking everything, and then pulling those plugs out and Loctiting those in.
So why isn't it a recommended preventative maintenance thing for
Chrysler doesn't want to do it. They should have had green Loctite on there to begin with, or fluid well.
Yeah, because I I'd never heard any. I didn't even know what that galley bolt was or anything. So
it's like easily way to put it is it's the main artery to your cylinder head.
Well, my code was on this side, and loose galley bolts can cause
variable valve timing problems.
The code.
Correct.
So we're
waiting to get this one off. Well, I'm expecting to see this one backed out.
Backed out, or maybe not even.
No, your engine's quiet.
Okay.
If that had come out, or almost all the way out, and you were losing a lot of oil through the galley, it'd be about $5,000 doing all the camshafts and everything.
All right.
So you're saving yourself a lot of money by spending a little bit.
I don't need to have buyer's remorse then.
There where my finger is, that's the plug.
Okay.
That bolt that's sticking out in the middle of there. So, put this on there. Yep.
It's loose?
Yep. That's just like, I can spin that out with my fingers at this point.
That's probably why it threw the cam sensor code.
Yeah, almost guaranteed.
Now that the Jeep was running good again, I couldn't wait to go back to Mount Pinos and finish what I started. I thought for sure the Raptor circling my drone was going to attack it before I could land it. Luckily, I got it back without an incident. I'm hopeful that the recent repairs will solve my traction control light problem. I don't know how those two problems can be related, but it came on with the check engine light. Well, I guess I still have an unknown issue causing the traction control light to come on. Any help on this would be greatly appreciated. My traction control light just went off.
This has been an ongoing problem since I upgraded to 32-inch tires at the end of last year. Every time I'm going uphill at a moderate rate of speed at lower RPMs, the traction control light flashes and I can feel the system applying brakes to one of the wheels. I'm back again for my second attempt at getting to the overlook. My first attempt was 2 days ago. It was a lot colder then. It's warmer now. I'm actually starting to sweat. The ice layer that was here 2 days ago has melted. I probably don't even need these snowshoes, but I brought them, so I figured I might as well give it a shot. If they become too cumbersome or I don't need them, I could always ditch them on the side of the trail and get them on the way out.
The trail was hard to see because it was hidden under the snow. Luckily, there were footprints and cross-country ski tracks to follow. Plus, the trail followed the path on Gaia GPS exactly. Or so I thought.
I'm not sure what happened. I got off trail somehow. I've been following my progress on Gaia GPS, and I was spot on until I got to this point. I was following footprints and cross-country ski tracks, and then all of a sudden they just stopped. They disappeared. And they weren't heading to where Gaia said the overlook was. I came to this high point thinking it would be the overlook, but apparently I've overshot it. I'm back at the original trail that I took to get to this point. Here's my dilemma. That was my path in. I don't know if you can tell from the video, but there are very subtle footprints and tracks left by cross-country skis. Those tracks stop right here. It looks like the trail continues down the slope and up the other side, but I can't be sure. According to Gaia GPS, the overlook is that direction. I don't know what I want to do. I was tempted to go back since I'm out here alone and it's getting late in the day. It's 1 o'clock in the afternoon, but the sun came out and it's tempting me to push further. I don't know what I want to do.
I decided to try and get a quick drone shot from the high point I was on between the strong gusts of wind.
How you doing? Good, how are you? Hey, I got a quick question. Are you familiar with this area?
I'm with that one, not this one.
Question here. So, I'm trying to find the overlook. Not Mount Pinos,
Okay.
but the overlook. And so,
I think it's that way, yeah.
and this sign says the overlook is 0.8 miles,
That direction.
and it looks like it's pointing straight ahead. Gaia has a trail in that same direction that's 0.8 miles that takes you to this point. I went to that point. It's not an overlook.
What is it?
You're just in the middle of forest.
Okay.
I went to a high point here thinking like, well, maybe that's the overlook. But now what I'm wondering is if this also says North Ridge Trail 1.4 miles. I don't see a directional arrow, but I do notice a trail off to the left.
That one takes you to Pinos.
And so if you follow that trail, I don't know for how far, it'll take you to that point right there.
Yeah.
If you go this direction,
Yeah, that's Pinos.
and you go to this point, I'm wondering if that's the overlook, because Pinos is up here further.
That is.
Have you ever taken that side trail?
I have. There is a bit of an overlook, but like the big one is past Pinos and the Condor observation point.
Right.
But yeah, I think it could be counted as an overlook. You could go there.
So what about this North Ridge, 1.4 miles?
Like most difficult
Because there's no
trail in Gaia. You're
on
right.
Gaia at the end of that 0.8. There's no other trails this direction.
Are there no markers around like the area?
And see, that's what I was looking for too. Is sometimes like for cross country skiing, they have markers in the trees,
Yeah, like the blue ones.
and I didn't see anything. I just assumed that it's a highway right here,
Yeah,
and I assumed that I'd be able to follow it all the way to the end.
there are some.
And but the tracks just stop.
Like the footprints.
Yeah, they stop. It's like somebody went that way. Well, more than one person.
Yeah.
And then they're like, I don't know where it is, and then they just stopped and turned around and came back.
Oh, it's probably badly marked then.
I had to leave Mount Pinos without finding the elusive overlook once again, but my problems didn't end there.
Hello?
Hi, Annie.
Where are you?
Broke down.
Are you serious?
Yep.
Where at?
The Chevron station that we stopped at on 166 and Interstate 5.
What happened?
The Jeep just started running really rough. The check engine light started to flash. And then I was able to pull into the parking lot.
Okay.
When the Jeep's just sitting here idling, it has a rough idle, but if I put it in drive and try to move, the check engine light starts to flash. Has no power.
Okay.
So I called AAA. They're sending somebody out, and they're gonna tow it to Via Automotive.
Luckily, my wife signed us up for a premier membership with AAA, which includes a 200-mile tow once a year. I've never needed to use the services AAA provides until now. I'm so glad we have it.
I feel like every time I go to Mount Pinos, I end up at Via Automotive. My check engine light came on my way home. It was a misfire on cylinder number 4. The mechanic said that I had a bad coil. I had him change all the coils, all the spark plugs, and the injectors on cylinders 2, 4, and 6. I changed the fuel injectors on cylinders 1, 3, and 5 last year. Hopefully I'm done with repairs for a while.
While driving through Taft the second time, I stopped at a roadside landmark which showed up as a history spot on my Garmin Overlander. Let's take a few minutes and end this adventure there. America's most spectacular gusher blew in here on March 14th, 1910. Initially 18,000 barrels per day, the flow later reached an uncontrolled peak of 100,000 barrels per day, completely destroying the derrick and flowing for 544 days. Men worked around the clock, building a barricade of sandbags surrounding the well, while teams and scrapers built 20 huge sumps covering over 60 acres. This was not only for recovery purposes, but to keep the oil from flowing into Buena Vista Lake, a source of irrigation for farms 8 miles away. Lakeview number 1 produced an estimated 9 million barrels of oil, a record not yet equaled by any other well in California. The rescue operation recovered more than 4 million barrels. The remainder was lost.